When you're working stripes in your knitting, and if you're working with the same 2 or 3 or 4, however many colors, you have the option of cutting the yarn every time you start with a new color, or if you're going to keep using that same color of yarn, you have another option of just carrying that yarn up the side of your work and not having so many ends to weave in when you're finished, which is ideal. To do that, it's the same as if when you're knitting back and forth, or if you're knitting in the round. The issues with tension and carrying the yarn up and everything else are the same. It's a quick little technique. It'll save you a lot of time. Let's take a look. Here I have this little knitted piece, and I'm switching from yellow to purple every 2 rows. And I only have one yellow end and one purple end because I'm carrying the yarn up the side of the work. Now this really only works if you're knitting for a back and forth piece, and not knitting in the round. You need to knit an even number of rows so that you can keep swapping things out over on the same side of the work. You want to knit down and back a multiple of 2 rows, even number. I have knit 2 rows in yellow and I'm ready to switch to purple. And the purple, of course, is already attached. Before I get started, I want to intertwine these 2 threads a little bit, and so I'm just going to flop one yarn over the other because I don't want any loose loops hanging off the side of my work. I'm going to put, and you see what I did there, all I did was flop one yarn over the other like that. And this is kind of important when you're doing a 2-row repeat, but really much more important if you have more rows of knitting, because there's more of an option for a longer loop on the side of the work. I'm going to put my needle in, wrap it with the purple yarn, and that first stitch, the tension's pretty important. If you pull it too tightly, you'll bunch up the sides of your work, so you want to make sure that you give the work a tug as you tighten that stitch. And then you knit across normally, or purl, or whatever your pattern's telling you to do. The only technique here is in the side of the work. Okay, so that's the technique. You'll see here that there is a tiny bit more bulk on the side of the work because there is one extra strand running up the side. But even knitting this flat, you can't really see it on the right side of the work. The wrong side of the work, you do see these little twists where I've flopped one yarn over the other to keep there from being big loops. This is a great technique that will save you a ton of time of weaving in a million ends every time you change to a different color when you're working stripes. And that's carrying up the yarn for stripes.